I'm thinking I'm on. Oh, there I am. Good morning and welcome to your daily game face. I'm coming to you live from my home studio.
That was interesting. Yeah.
Wasn't that weird? It said I was on, but it wasn't, but it was.
Yep.
I just started talking when it said you're live. Thank
No,
God I didn't
we
say
got here.
anything before. What would you say? What were you saying?
We got here.
You
It's all that
forget.
matters.
Oh, we're here. We're here. I am here. So, welcome to July
8th.
8th. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I can't. Okay. This is such an anomaly on the board. Not that you care, because I know you don't, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
Don't tell me what I care about and what I don't care about.
Don't tell me how to feel coming from the doctor. But I know you really don't care. But this is the first time in my life that I have not been to the beach yet this year.
On July 8th.
On July 8th. I mean, I went to the beach when I was on the cruise in February, but that was 55 degrees and it was miserable. So that was not counting. Remember, it was cold on the cruise and it was cold when I went in February. I mean, when I went in January for my birthday to Florida, it was snowing. So as of 2026, I usually have a tan and I've been to the beach so many times, I lose track. I haven't seen a beach at all. And after the Merrimack River had their dumping of sewage into the beach up north, I'm not needing to go to the beach because I don't want to swim in shit. Thank you very much.
Well, half the island is open.
Oh, that's good. Remember last week I said the name of my book is going to be Don't Sit in Your Shit?
Yeah.
Don't swim in it either.
Don't swim in it either, right?
Don't swim in it either. And people like that. I got good feedback on that this past week. They were like, "Oh, I love the title of that." I'm like, "Hey, can you see it in Barnes and Noble now? Don't sit in your shit."
Well, it's still 60s right now. You can't go to the beach now.
I don't why. The
Well, it
beach
was raining and cold yesterday.
Oh yes, but you know what? That was a nice relief from the 107,000 degrees that it was this week. It literally was 107 degrees here.
Yep.
3 days in a row.
Up for 3 days, yeah.
And now it's a balmy 70. It's lovely. Or
Nice.
no, or not.
No, I don't know what it is. I've been inside for a while, so.
Oh, well, are you shut in these days, my friend?
No.
Oh, here we go. I have Rocky. Here we go. Rocky. It's because he heard the door shut. So I might have to hold for a second because he's not going to stop barking.
Well, it's the way dogs are.
I know. So there's lots of adversity. I'm at home today because I have adversity. I'm not going to go into my adversity, but there's lots of adversity going on in life and around me. And you've got to hold, please, because I need quiet and I need the dog to start barking. So that means people need to stop coming in and out of my house. Just saying.
But you're at home because you're not sheltering, though. You're just.
Oh no, I'm home. I'm spending
turtling.
time. I have no problem telling you this. I'm spending time at home as long as I can because I only have a couple months, if that, left with my 22-year-old cat who people have asked, so I'll tell you. She does have squamous cell carcinoma of her lower rostral mandible that broke her jaw. And so she's got the little pirate mouth.
No.
And she's doing fine in terms of she's on palliative care, but nonetheless, she is a tough bird, let me tell you. And she's doing, by all accounts, what I would say for what's going on. She's doing great, but it's very hard to watch because I know what's inevitably coming, which I've had multiple conversations this morning with people since early crack of dawn about this, because another person in my life is also losing an animal today, due to old age and stuff. And so, but I'm trying to stay home as long and as much as possible and also still be able to live life and do my job and whatever, but not to miss out on what I've got. So
Make the most of it, right?
It's making the most of it because you don't know. You just don't know. Right. Yep. So it's an important lesson in making sure, how do you manage your adversity and rise, right? And I keep trying to focus on that. And there's moments that nothing's perfect where, there's days where it's like, oh, this is awful, but it's not all day. It's just moments because you look at them or you look at a person and that's having issues and you have to be like able to pull it together. but it's okay to still have all the feels. You know, and that's just how it is, unfortunately.
Well, we
And
talk about this not being a linear process, and that can be in the course of a day as well. You can have
right,
moments either
right,
way.
right. And so yeah, so my moment right now is that although she's currently sitting in her sunny spots because she
Mhm.
follows the sun around the house,
Yeah.
I'm at least home and she knows I'm home, and she's very sweet. She sits at the top of this 22 years old, and she sits at the top of the stairs and waits for me every night to come home.
Nice.
So and she's done that forever, but it's just, still
Yep.
doing it. So that's a sign that we're still good. We're still
Yep.
good. And but anyway, so what I thought, not completely, but somewhat because of feedback I got last week on my acronym that you put the A in.
I didn't put an A in.
Well, you started putting an A in my reset,
Just helping to get
helping
it
to
through.
mess up my acronym.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
Just own it, Lou. Own
Lesson
it.
learned.
I was actually asked by several people to do another acronym because they say that that's helpful, which it
Mm,
is. Psychologically, people do better with acronyms. So, given all the things that are going on in not just my life and your life and other people's lives and so on, I thought, oh, I will come up with a good one this week. So, that will get you awake with my non-screened in window. Growth.
okay.
G, but wait, don't spell it because I don't want you to add an A or a Z.
I'm not gonna
Okay, growth spelled GROWTH. Not I. I'm saying I came up with how to talk about the rise phenomenon and how to keep going along with your growth and rising, and how to, because look at all this adversity that goes on in life on a daily, right? It feels like there's so much on people and every day, and people talking about their adversity. And I see it obviously every day because what I do for a living. 99% of people just talk about their adversity and how to manage it. So this is going to now be, I worked on this all week and I came up with um, how to do all these things to make sure that we're still in the focus of rising. So growth, G, we're starting with G. What? Why are you laughing at me?
think.
Don't laugh at me.
Do you have another mic hanging around somewhere?
Oh, why am I
I'm getting some.
I do not have another. Are you seriously getting feedback?
No, I'm getting a little something. I'm not sure what it is.
I don't have any mic hanging around and I have nothing else on.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Hope we're
Hopefully
okay for now.
okay, great. No, this might be interesting. Is that why you're laughing? Is because I've got reverb?
No, I'm laughing because you won't let go of me throwing the A in last week, which I didn't do.
Funny. Because
Mhm.
a lot of people commented it to me. They were like, he tried to put an A in. I'm like, I know. I was
Trying to
there.
put an A. Just using another word to help explain it more. That's
I
all.
that's right. Listen, I backed you up. I said I know.
Okay. Yeah.
I did. But I can still give you a hard time.
Of course.
Okay, people are waiting. Growth. G. Ground yourself. Ground yourself. So G is for grounding. So grounding. Now we have a multitude of things that I could put into what grounding looks like, right? But people commonly think of, I always think of Pretty Woman when she goes, let's go cop a squat, take our shoes off and put our feet in the grass. That's grounding, right? That's getting yourself connected to the earth, right?
Mhm.
That's one way of looking at it, as a pragmatic way of thinking about it. But I'm gonna laugh because the very first thing I put in my list is cultivating self-awareness. There's
Oh, you
your
put a C in.
I had to do it. So when you have grounding of yourself, you have to have awareness first. So that does not count as the acronym, but cultivating self-awareness, being able to generate that, because again, people have a hard time rising much of the time because they don't have the awareness. They walk around sort of blind to things or deaf to things
Yeah.
or sensorially not paying attention to where their body's at. The body awareness thing is huge. People walk around. I had someone the other day tell me that an actual teenager say, I think I need to put my phone down when I'm in public, or I need to take my medication on weekends because I notice that I bump into people. Because why? They're holding their phone and
Yeah.
walking their head down, and that they went to some place that had a lot of people in it. And then they realized they had good self-awareness. And I said, oh, that's very good self-awareness that you realize. They're like, yeah, either I have to put the phone down or medicate myself. And I said, well, which one are you going to do? And they said, I think I'm going to start with just putting my phone down. I was like, that's a good choice. And I
I
was
was
so
gonna
glad.
say, why are those the same thing?
What?
Why are those 2 options? Why is that the same thing? Upping your medication and putting your phone down?
Well, not upping the medication, taking it on the weekend. So they
Oh,
take medication during the week, and then on the weekend when they're not taking it, they have equated that when they don't take it, they lack the self-awareness of their body awareness.
okay.
So they have the self-awareness to know that they either have to completely have everything free of distraction, or they just have to take the medication. But
Yep.
they opted for doing the behavioral strategy, which I'm all for first, because that's the better way to train your brain, obviously, is to neurologically, get the distraction out of it. With someone who has like ADD or someone who has focus and concentration issues, is to be able to cultivate your self-awareness by taking out your environmental stimuli so you can actually ground yourself. So
Mhm.
I thought that was a great win for that person to be able to say, I have these 2 options. And they came up with 2 options, first of all, on their own, and then they picked what I would consider the more healthy of the 2.
Okay.
Not to say that medication isn't the thing, but if they had said, "I think I'm just gonna take medication on the weekend," I would have said, "That's fine," because that would have helped to get to the same ends too. But I was just happy to say, "Hey, you're gonna do that. That's awesome." And I'm sure it's gonna work for them because they're very dedicated to it. Which part of grounding yourself is being mindful. So that person you have to be mindful all the time. So very repetitive words in this RISE concept, but mindfulness is just being like in the moment, staying present, not being fortune telling, yeah, forecasting forward, catastrophizing, future worry, meta worry, all those things. That's not mindfulness. That's being out of your mindfulness. That's not being wise mind. It's utilizing a strategy that is about, fear mongering in the back of your head, moving it forward, in a way that's just going to keep you from growth, right? Because you're not grounded. You sort of have to think of it as starting your day grounded in your body, grounded in your, even, shower time is one of the best times for people
Yeah.
to do grounding exercises, where you take your time to really have good self-awareness, be mindful about your mantra of the day. Like, I'm going to function despite my dysfunction today, which is a huge thing I've been practicing with my clients this year in the year of RISE. Is if you have dysfunction, which everybody does, whatever that is, you still have to function. If you choose, and that's operative word there, if you choose not to function, you are choosing that. That doesn't mean that your dysfunction still won't be there, but if you opt to give into it, right? If I opt to stay home and cry because my cat is passing, or or something's happening, okay, but at some point I have to make a choice to also be healthy. So I can have moments, but I have to still be mindful to have emotional stability before I can respond to a challenge. Because if I fold in on myself, then I'm not grounded. And then I lose the ability to have my hands on the steering wheel, as I talk about, or be able to have control over my own environment myself. Because without that self-awareness and mindfulness, I can't create emotional stability. Therefore, I won't be able to face the challenges. And when you have, like, before the show, before we went on the air, Lou, you and I talked about like a clump of stuff. And
Yeah.
if you emotionally dysregulate, which happens, you have to be able to know that you're emotionally dysregulating and then be able to center it back in. And that doesn't mean it's perfect. It just means, okay, be aware that obviously this is here, this is what's going to happen. And how do you get then back to the spot where you need to be at least stable enough to like manage? Um,
Well, the
people,
key basic point of that is accepting and understanding that you do have control over it, because a lot of people
right. And
don't feel they do.
most times, right, people walk through life not grounded in the fact that they have control over much of what is going on internally in them.
Yeah.
And what they do is they externalize it and blame the externals, or find a reason, minimize, excuse make, all the things to defend why they don't have control over something. Because not because, well, sometimes because it is a thing. But most of the time it's because they don't realize or don't have access knowledge-wise yet. And I say yet on purpose because they don't know yet how to do it or how to generate it, because they're so used to having a default of it's so automatic to go right to I'm dysregulated and I'm out. And they don't think about I'm dysregulated. They just are dysregulated. And, it's like when people come in and like, I've had such a bad day, and then they go and go and go. And then I, stay nice and calm. And I just talk in like grounded terms. And it's amazing. I don't have to, people always like, I don't feel like we did therapy today. And I'm like, do you feel better? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, why do you feel better? And they're like, well, because I'm calmer. I'm like, right, because we did, like, because I integrate it, right? Like as I'm talking, I just integrate. I don't have to sit. I don't do therapy in that way of how does it make you feel? How does that make you feel? How does it make you feel? Because one, it usually annoys most people. Two, it's a waste of time. And three, it's much better to just kind of regulate the system behaviorally as you're doing it through modeling. Why? Because it's a grounding technique. It's showing how to do it without having to say, let's walk through this step-by-step thing, which people hate doing because then it feels like work. And if you make something feel like work, people are less likely to do it. If it comes naturally through this conversational stuff and you just cultivate stability through like me talking to you right now, stability happens. And so that is such a huge piece of quick and easy, truly quick and easy way to ground yourself. Other ways to ground yourself, obviously, step outside in the fresh air and nature for 5 minutes. We have good research now on nature psychology, really going out and getting fresh air, getting sun, getting out into the grass or go out into the woods, or if you're not a hiker, go to the end of your driveway and back. It's not about necessarily the exercise, even if it is. It's about getting grounded to your space, your time, out of the environment that you might be sedentary in, or the same environment. People still work from home a lot. And that's one of the things, like, you've got to get out of the house. You sit in your box of your house all day, and then you finish your job at whatever time, you get up, you make dinner and go back and sit on the couch. What are you doing? And they're like, oh, I'll do it this weekend. I'm like, well, yeah, but they're still going to feel all funky and dysfunctional because you're sitting in the box. You have to break up the routine in order to have that. So when you're grounding yourself, think mental grounding, which means come up with like a mantra, physical grounding, which is get your feet planted on the ground, feel the chair under your body, or do a progressive muscle relaxation for 5 minutes. And then also have, some people do spiritual grounding, clearing your chakras if you know how to do that, or if you have someone in your life that knows how to clear chakras. You can go online and watch YouTube videos, and people do instructional things like that. But it's about really taking an inventory of your space and getting yourself settled so that you have function despite dysfunction. It's a lot. And that's just G. And now you have nothing
I know,
to say.
we just got through G.
I know. That was a lot for G. And you go silent. Wow.
That was a lot for G.
Okay. Oh, thanks. Thank you for that, Lou. Okay,
we're
we'll go on.
some delays.
You what?
We're having some delays, so I'm trying not to mess you up.
Oh, okay. Okay. R, regulating your mind and body. So I sort of started touching on that. So your R is regulate your mind and body. How do you do that? It's through developing skills, which I just touched on, to manage your thoughts, to manage your emotions, to manage your stress, and to manage your physiological responses. But here's the key to the R. You have to do it with intention. People do not regulate their mind. First of all, mind-body connection is a thing. It's purely a thing. Your mind talks to your body and your body talks to your mind. That's how your whole life works. If you do not develop skills beyond kind of what you're just taught in the day-to-day life of social norming that may be not so healthy, maybe partially healthy, if you don't develop skills beyond your dysfunction or whatever is ailing you, if you don't develop the skills to manage negative thoughts, feelings of emotional dysregulation, of bad emotions, anger, resentment, abandonment, detachment, control, whatever, anxiety. If you don't develop coping strategies or skills around stress, like go to yoga class, go for a run, take a hot bath, call a friend. These are, getting a skill list. And then physiologically, exercise is the best medicine, as you know, and research backs it. I anecdotally for years, that's just, if you exercise, it physiologically just changes your whole response, even in your thought process and your emotional and your stress level. Exercise can flip that around as a skill if you develop that. And people kind of poo-poo that because why? It's work, right? So it's very difficult, but that's a huge part of growth because you're doing it with intention. The more intentional you are about something, the better it serves you. When people intentionally eat poorly, which they do, they choose a bag of Doritos, then a piece of cake, and a whole plate of pasta, then pizza later, and then popcorn at night, and a smoothie from Wendy's, and a banana as their daily meal. You're intentionally doing that. Now, people will say, I didn't intentionally eat poorly. Yeah, but you did because you have 5 million choices and those are the ones you chose. So that is with intention, but it's become so automatic that you don't think of it as intentional. So what I'm asking for you to do is regulate your mind and body through intention. Make intentional thoughts. If you have a negative thought, it's not about, remember last week I said, it's not about flipping. It's about generating something that's factual, that's realistic, that's reasonable, so that your emotional side gets changed and your stress level will come down. And then you add in exercise, even if it's literally walking up and down the stairs 2 or 3 times, or you are watching TV and you do 10 flutter kicks, 5 jumping jacks, anything. All it does is it shifts your regulation mode and it really helps the growth level. So now you've got yourself grounded and you're regulating your mind and body at that same time. That's huge because it gets you sort of prepared, especially if you think of this as like your morning routine, gets you prepared for the day.
You can your mind body connection is actually a cheat code. If you learn how to manipulate it, you can make big changes in your life.
Yes. Yes. And I love, even though manipulate, it's yes, manipulate the system that
Oh,
you're
yeah.
in. It's such a good, it is actually a really good way of looking at it. And I usually don't use the word manipulate, but in this case, that is a great word. It's manipulating the environment that you're in of your own internal self to adjust to what's going on so that you have better control and stop thinking that you have no say in your day, so to speak.
Right, exactly. Again, grabbing the wheel is we often use that metaphor. It's exactly what we're talking about. Keep your
Exactly.
hands on the wheel.
Right. Which leads me to own your choices.
Mm,
So this is right. Owning your choice, accepting the responsibility for your decisions, your behaviors, and your personal growth without blaming or avoidance. People love to externalize and blame. So the psychological phenomenon, I'm dealing with this in a very interesting situation that I won't discuss here specifically, but there's a psychological phenomenon in life in general in human beings, but also I see it a lot in athletes and performance, right? In academic performance and in sports performance, and also in like leadership, right? But in general, we have external and internal focus, or they call it in psychology, locus of control. For everybody's lay terms, focus of control, right?
mhm.
When we do well, no matter what's going on around us and how we got there, unless we have good self-awareness, we will take full credit for it and be like, I'm amazing. I did it. Right?
Yep, yep.
So for instance, if I'm teaching my class and people do well on my exam, they will be like, it's because I studied great. It's because of this and that. They're not going to say it's because Dr. Lannon taught me well. Occasionally I'll get a couple of those, but right. But that's not, I'm not looking for that because that's external. I'm looking for them to say it's a combination of things. I know it. I did well because they have the confidence, all the things, right? But you'll see a lot, and I see this in athletes all the time. You see the blame and shame and then avoidance of the reality of the situation to own their own choices by being like, oh, I didn't do well, or I failed, or it was too hard because Dr. Lannon's test was too hard, or Dr. Lannon didn't teach me right, or whatever, or, or the coach didn't, tell me to correct that, because they don't have the ego strength, which is their reality manager, to take on their own lacking of whatever they did or didn't do to make themselves successful. So it's easier to put it outside and externalize it and not own their own choices of,
Yep.
what did they do, to not, did they not go to practice enough? Did they not show up at class enough? Did they not take good enough notes? Did they, on the inverted U theory, right? Did they have no anxiety, or did they have too much anxiety? Either side of that makes it so that you're not going to do well. And those usually lead to people saying, like, not my fault, somebody else. It's, it was bad weather, it was, I missed this, or it's always something. And if you're an externalizer, which so many people are, then the O of owning your choices, to be able to accept responsibility, is very difficult, because people feel less than and feel like they're somehow so bad as a person, or so shamed, they are bad, and that's what shame means,
Yeah.
that they can't personally grow because they're so stuck in, the embarrassment of whatever the outcome of something was, versus, okay, I need to put my hands on the wheel and say, I own this, or I own whatever part of this is me, and not be, oh, it's somebody else's fault, or something else's fault. Somebody else made me do it. It's like when people are trying to lose weight, and they're on a GLP-1, right? I have people that are, 18. I have 18 of my clients on GLPs, and they'll come in. Most of them are doing great on them. A couple of them will be like, I'm just not losing weight fast enough. And I'm like, well, we talk about this all the time. Like, well, what did you eat? And then they give me their list, because we watch, and it's like, but you're not owning your choice, that you're not eating the way it's supposed to be done for what is the point of this. And their response is always, always, well, the doctor who's giving me, or the nurse practitioner who's giving me the shot, told me I can eat whatever I want. And I'm like, yeah, but I told you can't do that. And that that's not how this works. And but because they're getting a self-verified bias and a self-confirmation from someone else that is fitting and aligning with their blame route,
Yep.
they go with that. So they don't own their choice. They blame it on, well, the other doctor says it's okay. Well, I think that you're just buying into that, and because you've read articles, or you've heard other people, that that's not how this works.
What people misunderstand the most about owning their part in any situation is they think it's responsibility, when actually they should be looking at it as opportunity, because the only thing you have control over is what you own,
Exactly.
what your choices are. And by the way, once you understand what your part is in a given situation, you can avoid it in the future by learning to be better, understanding what you did wrong, not doing it again, not repeating it. That's opportunity. That's a way to actually change what's going on in your life.
Exactly. And I think so. So O can be opportunity to own your choices, right? So you can interchange that, because it's like taking an opportunity, creating an opportunity for yourself. Absolutely.
Because that's the only thing you have control over, is your part of the situation. So
Exactly.
fix your part of the situation and things will get better.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
everybody has a part in every situation.
And
Human
and
nature is
and
just
hard time with that concept that they have a part in it, because they go right to, that means I'm to blame for something. I mean, and that's usually coming and stemming from childhood, right? Um, it's usually coming from that it's that sense of social judgment that they think is happening, that they've been trained into, that if I admit that I have a part in that, there's something wrong with me. And I don't want to own that, because that's hurts, that's painful. It's, ego, it's an ego crush.
well, it's very popular to be a victim. It's
Exactly.
very popular because
And
it's
so,
easy, first of all.
yeah, well, and it's excuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's easier to make the excuse and the cop out than actually just owning it and being like, oh yeah. And to
And to
blame and shame out on someone else or something else in the environment is that the external locus of control. Which one do you have? Are you an internal locus of control where I take responsibility, like I didn't do well in the competition because blah, blah, blah of me? It owns it for you. You being the center. That's good grounding. That's good regulating of your mind and body. When you can take the opportunity to say, this is where I fell down on this.
Yep.
But instead, what people do is what we're saying. And that's to their deficit. And yeah, you know the deal.
And you don't have control over everything. You may only have control over 10% of it, but take the opportunity of that control.
Exactly. Which leads me to W, right? So that's that you're like reading my mind and you don't even know my acronym. This is amazing. Okay. So, but the W, I think it's just because we've been together for so long now, Lou. It's like
I've put in a lot of work. So
you're simpatico. Well, fine. It's because you did all your work. Fine. Okay. So
you
W.
accelerated that work, but still.
It's welcoming challenges. So viewing opportunities, I'm going to use your O, for that. Viewing your opportunities by looking at your obstacles, your adversity as opportunities to learn, to build confidence, to build resilience, to strengthen your character, to build integrity as an athlete, as a professional, as a leader, as a counselor, as a radio host, whatever it is. If you welcome in your challenges, which is the W, you're going to view your adversities as an opportunity to learn. Like, remember I've said before, like, what is this teaching me? Everything has a lesson in it. And it's people, I get the eye roll. It does. If you miss out on most things that are learning opportunities, which many things a day are, which, I try to find something to learn about every day. I do. And people are like, really? I'm like, I absolutely do. And I got a lot of stuff going on just like you do and everybody else. I'm trying to figure out, like, what is it teaching me? As an example, I put up I'm doing a journey on Echo's carcinoma, right? And the very first one or two, I think I put up because I realized because I started going like day 1, day 2, and I realized this is teaching me not to count the days.
Yeah.
That was one of my first aha moments of welcoming that challenge of what I'm going through with her. And the fact that I just lost Mia 5 weeks ago is stop counting the days, take what you have and enjoy it, appreciate it, capitalize on it. So, and I have figured out other things that it's teaching me and she's teaching me.
You're focusing on quantifying the time instead of enjoying the time.
Exactly. And that's what, and I am like many people. And so I got my mindset right out of that and said, oh my God, I'm going to stop labeling my journey with her as day 4, day 5. It took me a couple days to like have that sink in and go, stop doing, just do the day. And because that's what she's teaching me is be present in the day. And it's just been a week and I'm like, oh my God, I already know this, but it's just such a rehoming to that point of I have an obstacle. It's very challenging and it's going to strengthen me in this way. That doesn't mean that it's perfect. It doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't make it any less sad at times or whatever. It's just about what lesson can I learn from this? I can externalize this and I could blame the veterinarian that misdiagnosed her when I said the very first time she has cancer. And she said, no, it's a tooth infection. And I was like, But I went with that. I'm not blaming her, but I could because many people would and get all pissed off. But why? Because that's where you go to. You go to the human nature externalizer of like, oh, if I had caught it the 3 weeks before when I knew what it was, but I had to go with the expert opinion, I could blame her, but I don't. Because
how would that help you?
It's not going to help me. Right. And it's ridiculous because in good faith with intention, I know that she knew what she was doing the best that she had with the information she had at the time. But you have to be able to do that stuff I've set up in the front of growth. You have to be able to ground yourself. You have to have regulation of mind and body and self-regulation. You have to have you own your own choices of what I have in the moment to talk to someone about or not, or how to approach something or not. So I'm welcoming the challenge of this is an obstacle. And as such, I'm going to use it as an opportunity to grow and learn.
Well, my second favorite mantra right behind "We're on in Cincinnati," and I'm not even kidding. It's my favorite. Second one is "I don't have that figured out yet. It's okay."
Exactly. Love that. I
Yeah,
don't have that figured out yet.
it's
It's
okay.
just,
A lot of people don't feel it's okay not to have the answers yet. And sometimes you don't have the answers. You work
well,
towards finding the answer.
that's like last week when I said, remember you asked me what my mantras were and we had the funny whatever, but I ended up saying like sometimes it's mine is, function despite dysfunction, but it's I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no idea, but I will find out, and if I don't find out, I'm gonna find someone who will find out, because I learned that a long time ago, to your point, and this is probably one of the best lessons I've learned, is that having no ego in the way, and having full humility that I don't know. I sometimes I'll say I can take an educated guess,
Yep.
but don't quote me on it because I'll have to look it up because I don't know. And being able to be okay with I don't know. And I don't and I'll figure it out, and if I don't, I'll keep looking.
Well, that's the difference in the attitude because people who say, "I can't figure that out," have given up on being able to figure it out. I don't know yet, or I haven't figured it out yet. It gives you, I haven't figured that out yet. I'm going to.
And,
I'm
well,
gonna get better at it.
and you know what's interesting, because you don't hear a lot of people talk about, like, actually this particular thing about, like, being able to say, "I don't know." I have found, not tons, but I have found some people get really annoyed
Hmm.
with when you are actually genuine able to say, "I don't know," because they actually don't believe you. You get a sort of metaphorical or metaphysical sometimes roll of the eyes internally of like, oh yeah, she knows, she no, no, I don't know. And or they think that when someone says I don't know, and they're like, well, I can find out, but I don't know, they're like verklempt by it, like I don't know that you
This
could
is probably
possibly imagine having the ego strength to say, I actually can fall on the sword and say, I actually don't know that. And that would be genuine and authentic to that person.
this is probably flawed, but one of the things that gives me a best read on a person is always the ratio of questions to statements.
Yes.
There are people who don't ask questions, and
Right.
that's a problem. Everybody
Yes.
has questions.
Yes.
Not everybody has everything figured out. Ask a question,
Right.
you know?
Exactly. Well, I call it questioning with curiosity.
Yeah.
Questioning, asking questions, not assuming you know an answer. Even if you think you do, you still want to verify because you don't always know. I mean, that's one of the big things about being in psychology or psychiatry is it's so unknown in a lot of ways, even though we can have good predictors, we just don't know all the time. And so you can say, well, I always say it depends.
Yeah.
Because things are often very dependent on other things, and every scenario could have a similar thing going on in it, but it will still depend. My answer will still depend on a lot of factors, which is very hard for people. So when they ask me, well, I've been doing this for 10 days and why isn't it working? Well, it depends. Why? And we have to look through all of that because I don't always know, but I can put the puzzle together. But sometimes it's really quick and easy, and sometimes it's a puzzle.
And many times you need help. Don't
And
be
many
afraid to ask
times
for help.
it's collaboration, right?
Yeah.
It's not, people look to experts no matter what field or whatever, being like, you should know. It's like, well, yeah, okay, that's nice. I'd love to be clairvoyant and know and have the crystal ball, and I will write that in text to people sometimes when people say, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Well, I don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
However,
Well,
here's
and what
here's
we
my best
say
educated guess clinically."
and what we feel most of the time that we know is often based on current understanding, and that current understanding changes.
Exactly. And that's why learning something every day or exploring that journey every day is important because it keeps you not stagnant.
Yep.
It keeps you in growth mode, which, oh my God, I swear it's like you're reading my list and you don't even have it. So the T, we're on to T, is transform through learning, right? So commit to lifelong learning. Um, when people stop being curious, questioning
Mhm.
with curiosity, when people stop wondering or um, self-reflecting. So many people don't self-reflect. Please, people, can you please be self-reflective? Um, when people don't have lifelong learning on their mindset, or they don't have self-reflection, which means looking inward at, how do I think? How do I feel? How do I, so many times, I can't tell you how many times people will be like, when I say, how do you think or feel? Either one of those questions, I don't know. Right now,
Find out.
I give the eye lift about that, because
Yeah.
it's not that they, it's not frustrating that they don't know. It's just that I know that they actually know, but they don't go inward to look for the answer, because it's easier to say, I don't know, because it's an attachment issue related thing about being an avoidant, dismissive person. You've been avoided and dismissed usually as a child because you had emotions and you got shut down, or you had a thought and you got shut down somewhere along the way. So your answer, I don't know, stems in adulthood from that. And so it's like, I had them when I was a kid, but I shut them down because I was told basically not to have them. So when you ask me to do that kind of work in your office, or anybody asks you to be self-reflective, even on a job or in an academic situation, people are like, I don't know, because it's a cop out, easy jump to, I don't have to do the work.
Right.
And then you're not doing the learning. That's the learning. And people are like, ugh, I'll ask, will you, some people I know don't like to read. So I'll say, will you read a page? If I get someone to read a page on something, I'm like, ugh, because that helps me sometimes help them, because sometimes on paper to see it, they're like, yeah, I don't like reading. I'm like, is it because you have a hard time reading, or is it because you don't want to make the effort? And most of the time people say, can't you just tell me? I'm like, I can, but reading something solidifies it with you, or writing it down. That's why, there's
Yeah.
no specific style of learning, even though there's lots of talk about like learning styles. There are people, some are more visual, some more audio, some, whatever. But in general, having a much more collaborative approach, like you and I talk about, and just being able to talk about things, and then much more like, it's like the parenting of authoritative style. It's having a high expectation with warmth and praise, and really being able to explore concepts. That gets you further than putting a PowerPoint up, or just barking like, do this thing, 1, 2, 3 steps, right? Like, you have to be open to the journey, which, not linear, much more flexible and self-reflective. And that will give you continuous improvement in both professional and personal life. And that is so growth forming for people, if they can transform through learning. Like, if I could put the T before the G, it's like, yeah, you have to ground yourself, but you have to be open to learning, and not be like, well, this is who I am. I had a 60-year-old who could very well get so much better with their anxiety tell me the other day that, well, I'm 60. What is that going to, what is it? I'm like, well, you're not dead. 60 is 60 is not old, or I even have 30-year-olds being like, well, I'm 30. I'm like, okay. And here's a great lesson that I learned from, so I know I'm spending time using Echo as the example, but she's in my eye line right now for that, right?
Yeah.
I spent my weekend, 4th of July, not doing anything that I would typically do, because I spent the weekend talking and researching and finding everyone who could be available to talk to me about squamous cell carcinoma in cats. And I ended up talking to this wonderful doctor in California at one of the UCal, I won't say where it is because I don't want to give it away for people, because I don't know if she wants me to talk about it, about her. But she had this thing about, one of her first things was, because other people will go into the age thing. When I said she's 22, most of the time when I say 22-year-old cat, they go, oh my God,
Yeah.
she's so old, or, oh, she's tired. This doctor was awesome. And I had 2 doctors in this past week say to me, age is not a matter here. Age is not a problem. It's what we need to do about the thing that's happening. Because the concern was, can we put her under for anesthesia because of her age? And the misnomer is, age will, obviously,
Yeah.
her statement was, you could be 5 or 25 or 50 or 105, and no matter what, it's always a risk, because it's just a risk. But That's why we have technology to make it so that we don't have that problem. So age is not on my mind. Age is not a problem for her. 22 is like 2. It doesn't matter. It's what are the factors that, so I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
someone finally, because that's my mindset is she's 22. She doesn't act like she's 22. If you're 60 and you act like you're 90, you're going to get a 90 out product, right? And that was to her point. It was like, oh, great mindset, growth. It was about, I see an obstacle, but let's put this in perspective, right? It was so good. And then I had multiple other people verify that over the weekend. And I was like, yes. But that is the transformation through learning of, oh my God, someone's self-reflective. Someone is continuing to improve on their professional level to make sure whether she was saying it, but then I had other people saying it. So it's not just her, it was other people that had a perspective that was more about growth mindset of stop pawning people off or animals off just while they're old.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of, you and I've had this conversation about like, well, you have some creaks and knee issues and this and that. Oh, it's because I'm old. No, it could
No.
just be because of, I mean, people tell me that all the time. And it's usually for me in my office, it's usually a weight issue. People are like, oh, I have to have a knee replacement. They're 37 and they have to have a knee replacement. Why? Because they're 85 pounds overweight. So the doctor has sent them to me to try to get them to lose weight first. And they're like, I should just have the knee replaced. Why can't I just do that? I'm like, because you have to lose some weight because I think we don't need to have the surgery if we lose the weight. But the mindset isn't in the growth of transformation through learning. It's about easy, quick route, instant gratification like this. And I try to say surgery is going to be so much more because if you do the surgery, then you have to do PT. Are you going to do the PT? And they're like, oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, PT is going to be 2 to 3 times a week for like 6, 7, 8 weeks, maybe more. And they're like,
By the way, they're lining themselves up for 3 knee replacements. Not
well,
one.
and inevitably sometimes it is going to have to happen for people. But if you can do some of that
No, but you
learning,
do it at 35, you're gonna have it done 3 times.
yeah,
Time you're done.
exactly. Exactly. And it's that eye roll of, oh God, people think, well, it's a quick fix, just like medication, right? Medication. Oh, it's a quick fix. I don't have to do work. That's not transformation through learning because you still have to do the work. When you take an SSRI in psych, if you take Zoloft, Prozac, Effexor, Wellbutrin, anything in psych, for the most part, if you don't do the actual cognitive work, the behavioral work, the growth stuff I'm talking about, the medication actually isn't as efficacious. It's not as workable. It's the combination of the two because the medicine helps make it easier to do the work so that
Yeah.
then you can come off the medication. Can you do it without it? Yes, but you have to be dedicated to it. And people don't want to do that. And I'm encouraging people to come on, let's jump on this train of growth. Let's rise to the occasion and transform ourselves through what we can know and learn. Right? Which brings us to the H, helping others rise. Once you get through this, I mean, this is right. It's not stepwise. It's you ground yourself, you're regulating your mind and body, you're owning your choices, having opportunities, welcoming challenges, transforming through learning. This is all happening at one time. It's like your brain can fire 500 different things at once. The same thing as growth. Growth isn't like, we'll do this first and then that second. No. So we get to the H and it's like, okay, if we're helping ourselves, then we're also helping others rise. So if we use our knowledge, if I use my knowledge, if I use my compassion and kindness and my professionalism and my personal desire to be present for people and myself, and if I have leadership, in my role or in anybody's life, if you're a parent, that's leadership role. If you're a coach, leadership role. If you're a teacher, leadership role, right? So you're in a position to empower others, which everybody really is in a position to empower.
Mhm.
And you can encourage and you can elevate those around you. You're not only rising for yourself, but you're helping other people too. What a growth closed circle that makes that whole thing come around. Because if you can stay grounded, if you can stay regulated and you can own yourself and welcome in challenge and really learn and transform on a daily or at least a couple times a week, even if you don't, even once a week, you will rise And then you'll be able to help others rise too, because people will be inspired by your change. They will move with you. They will be excited for you, and they will want that for them. And that's huge. That's how you do family therapy without the whole family in the room. You just get one or two people from the family in here or there, and they start to change. Family dynamics will change. Same in groups, same in like systems, like industrial organizational things. If you can get one or two people in a group of 100 to move, they usually will move a whole unit. It's like amazing.
This will start to attract like-minded individuals and like-minded situations. This is going to put
Yes,
you in situations that are going to change the things you can't control to be better. This is
exactly.
just attracting more better things towards you.
Mo better,
More better.
mo better,
More better.
mo better.
So
Yes,
it is kind of control. So this is the key to controlling your outcomes, is taking care of identifying your part, improving your part, and watching all the improvements happen because of that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So find your growth moments on a daily and see where that gets you now, because that's a big part of the rise. Like, let's grow. On my former website that I'm still rebuilding after the death of my admin person, who was one of my best friends
Oh,
years ago, I used to have on it, grow, learn, and change. You know, that's a great mantra: grow, learn, change, or learn, grow, and change, whichever you want to put it. But that's like the easiest way to, if you don't remember the whole growth acronym, just think: learn, grow, change, grow,
yeah.
learn, change. The change will come. Change comes, outcome comes when you do the work. You don't have to work on the outcome goal.
Right.
You want to run a race faster? If you put in the work, it will happen. You don't have to focus on the outcome of the fast race. If you want an A in a class and
Yep.
you do the work, it will come. The outcome will come, but you have to do the work. If you're too busy blaming other people and shaming other people and not owning your shit and sitting in it, there we are. There's the theme again. Swimming in your shit, then you're not going to grow. And there's no rise in that. And oftentimes you'll bring other people down.
Understand your part and your outcomes, and
Yep,
grab the opportunity to change them.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, anyway, go out there and grow and rise. And on a really quick note, before I sign off for this week, people, when I have done the show in the past couple weeks or month or two from home, people ask me about the stuff behind me. So I always set up here, because people are like, what is that? Like, well, obviously it's the Patriot stuff. So I have
Yep.
my Tom Brady stuff that they've given me. The Patriots, those are all the rings from the first wins of, like, that's not just a picture. It's actually,
Those are actual rings.
those are, yeah, they're replicas, but
Yeah.
made from the Patriots Foundation, with all of it, with Tom and Bill Belichick. So, and then all my marathon medals are behind me. So the significance of things behind me, the plant behind me was the very first plant someone ever gave me when I started my practice 32 years ago, and it's still, that is the plant. And the teddy bear behind me is a very special teddy bear that was given to me by a client years ago that has a special meaning to it. So it always sits. So in the room around me that you can't see, in my office here, is all things having to do with important things that keep me grounded, and give me sort of my peace bubble, so that I have growth. So that's why I always do my show usually when I'm home from here.
Any wicked stuff in there?
Yes, but I'm not turning the computer to show you that, because
Fine.
by the way, I have a whole Wicked room I could do the show from, and I have no shame in saying I have an entire Wicked room,
You have a wicked room. Nice.
and I could do the whole show from there, and I'm surrounded by Wicked. But there is Wicked stuff in here. It surrounds me.
I'm not surprised.
Well, that's because, you know why? That whole story, even though I know you, whatever, that whole story is about growth and change.
Oh, obviously. Yeah.
But people don't get that. But that whole story is about being changed for good. And it's not like there's a huge double entendre, triple entendre meaning about how to live life through this, like, whole, like, being grounded and living in intention and with intention and owning your own stuff and really seeing the world for how it is and being able to live in it and regulate yourself.
Yep. dealing with what you have to deal with and understanding what you control.
Right. And many movies do that. It just happens to be that one speaks to me. So.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Most of these messages, movies, books, whatever it is, you got to find the one that speaks to you, because there is going to be one.
Yep.
It's basically all the same principles. It's just got to
Yes.
find the one that puts it in a way that hits home for you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So all these things hit home for me.
Yeah.
So, all right, everybody go out there and have a wicked growth week. So I will talk to you all next week, God willing.